In 1979, a physicist in Albuquerque started intercepting signals he believed were alien communications. What he actually discovered was so classified that the U.S. government decided it was easier to drive him completely insane than to tell him the truth. Today, we're going underground to Dulce, New Mexico, where nuclear tests, cattle mutilations, and psychological warfare created the most disturbing conspiracy theory in American history. There's this town in northern New Mexico called Dulce. Population around 2,600, sits on Jicarilla Apache Reservation. Seemingly unremarkable, except beneath the nearby Archuleta Mesa, there might be a 7-layer underground facility where the U.S. government conducts genetic experiments with extraterrestrials. Now, before you roll your eyes, understand this. There are nuclear explosions, documented cattle mutilations investigated by law enforcement, verifiable government operations, and a physicist who intercepted real signals that led him down a rabbit hole so deep that it destroyed his mind. Now, whether the base exists exactly as described or something even stranger is happening, the evidence suggests we're only seeing the surface of something truly bizarre. December 10th, 1967, the Atomic Energy Commission, working with El Paso Natural Gas, detonated a 29-kiloton nuclear device 4,240 feet beneath the Carson National Forest. Project Gasbuggy was part of the Plowshare program, using nuclear weapons to fracture underground rock formations and release natural gas. They created a massive radioactive cavity filled with melted gas and rubble about 21 miles southwest of Dulce. The explosion registered on seismographs with a very specific signature, distinctly different from natural earthquakes. Now, here's the part where it gets interesting. The operation required massive drilling rigs, military convoys, black government vehicles, security perimeters. All of this happening on sacred Jicarilla Apache land, where the origin stories have always talked about emerging from a world below the surface. What if the nuclear test wasn't about natural gas at all? What if they were drilling for something else entirely, or opening access to something already there? Paul Bennewitz was a legitimate physicist who founded Thunder Scientific, making humidity sensing equipment for the military. His facility sat right next to Kirtland Air Force Base in Albuquerque, giving him security clearance and proximity to classified operations. In 1979, Bennewitz started seeing strange lights over the Manzano weapons storage area. But he didn't just watch them. He built monitoring equipment and began intercepting low-frequency electromagnetic signals. These signals were absolutely real. He was picking up something. Using his background in physics, Bennewitz wrote a custom computer program to decode the transmissions. When he ran the signals through his software, he got binary code that translated into English. The messages detailed logistics for an invasion force. They confirmed a base near Dulce where gray aliens were headquartered. Communications about abductions, genetic material, treaty violations. Now, the official story is that he was intercepting military drone testing or stealth technology. But here's the thing. Bennewitz was brilliant. A brilliant physicist. He knew what military encryption looked like, and the patterns he was seeing, the specific content he was decoding, it aligned too perfectly with what was happening on the ground. Bennewitz then connected with Myrna Hansen, who claimed she'd been abducted near Eagle Nest, New Mexico. Under hypnotic regression, Hansen described being taken to an underground facility where she witnessed vats of liquid containing human body parts and cattle organs, limbs suspended in fluid, genetic harvesting in progress. Her descriptions matched details Bennewitz had been pulling from the signal intercepts, independently corroborating information about the same facility, the same operation. He compiled everything into Project Beta, a military-style dossier detailing alien capabilities, social structure, weaknesses. He sent it to Senator Harrison Schmitt, intelligence agencies, and even tried to reach President Reagan. Then things got strange. Air Force Office of Special Investigations agent Richard Doty made contact with Bennewitz, but instead of shutting him down, Doty validated everything, told him that he was on the right track, provided him even more data to decode. The official explanation is that this was disinformation to drive Bennewitz away from real military secrets. But that raises a question. Why not just arrest him? Why not send him a cease and desist? Make him stop doing what he was doing? Why spend years feeding him increasingly elaborate information about underground alien bases? Unless the disinformation was covering something even stranger than the drones. Unless keeping people focused on aliens was easier than explaining what was really happening beneath that mesa. Documents describing the 7 levels of Dulce Base, the Nightmare Hall genetic experience, all of it came through these intelligence channels. Either they fabricated the most elaborate hoax in UFO history, or they're mixing truth with lies to make it sound too crazy to believe. Bennewitz suffered a complete mental breakdown. Hospitalized for psychiatric care, he died in 2003, never recovering. The government destroyed this man's mind, allegedly. The question is, what was he actually getting close to? Phil Schneider emerged in the 1990s with a story that still defies easy explanation. He claimed to be a former structural engineer who, in August 1979, was drilling exploratory shafts into Archuleta Mesa. During drilling, the machines brought up soot, stale air, overwhelming sulfur smell. They lowered Schneider down in a basket to investigate. At the bottom, he came face to face with a 7-foot-tall gray alien. Schneider grabbed his Walther PPK and fired, killing 2 entities. One of them released a cobalt beam that split his chest open and burned off several fingers. Green Berets and Delta Force soldiers rappelled down. Underground firefights. 66 human soldiers killed, only 3 survivors. During lectures, Schneider showed his scars, his massive wound down his chest, his missing fingers, physical evidence of something. In 1996, he was found dead, officially ruled suicide by a catheter tube around his neck. But his missing fingers and limited shoulder mobility make it physically impossible for him to tie the tubing himself. Was Schneider lying about the aliens? Maybe. But something gave him those injuries. Something happened in August 1979. And whatever it was, someone wanted him silenced. Between 1975 and the 1980s, thousands of cattle across the American West were found dead under circumstances that remain unexplained. New Mexico was the epicenter. Officer Gabe Valdez investigated. Animals with specific organs removed with surgical precision. Eyes, tongues, udders, reproductive organs, laser-like incisions, cauterized, bodies completely drained of blood with no blood on the ground, no footprints or tire tracks, even in mud or snow. Valdez found evidence at crime scenes, gas masks, glow sticks, radar chafe, tripod marks from heavy equipment, clamp marks on cattle legs suggested they'd been hoisted. The theory is environmental monitoring, tracking radiation from Project Gasbuggy. But why the surgical precision? Why the specific organs? Why the absolute secrecy? Valdez found a fetus inside one mutilated cow. It looked like a human, a monkey, and a frog combined. No bones in the head, just filled with fluid. Radiation mutation doesn't explain that. Something was being tested. Something was being harvested, maybe. Whether it was government genetics or something more exotic, the cattle mutilations proved that large-scale biological operations were happening around Dulce. Based on Bennewitz's intercepts, Schneider's testimony, and documents allegedly smuggled out by a security guard named Thomas Costello, the Dulce base model emerged. 7 levels, each deeper into the nightmare. Level 1, security and communications. Level 2, human housing. Level 3, executive offices and mainframes. Level 4, mind control research using electromagnetic manipulation. Level 5, alien housing, modified environment. Level 6, nightmare hall, the genetic wing, multi-armed humans, human-bat hybrids, cages of drugged humans. Level 7, cryogenic storage, thousands of embryos, genetic experiments, connected by high-speed magnetic shuttles to a continental tunnel network. A tense caste system, reptilian Dracos as overseers, Greys as workers, and humans as either collaborators or subjects. Too elaborate to completely be fabricated, too specific in its details. The question becomes how much of this is actually real. Project Gasbuggy happened. The government detonated nuclear devices and drilled deep into the earth near Dulce. The cattle mutilations happened. Valdez documented thousands with physical evidence of technological intervention. The signals were real. Bennewitz intercepted something. The disinformation operation was real. AFOSI admits it. But disinformation works best when you mix truth with lies. You can't fabricate everything from nothing. There has to be something real at the core. The Jicarilla Apache have always known Archuleta Mesa as a place of power. Modern researchers still document the hum, that low-frequency vibration near town. Reports from 2024 and 2025 describe swarms of silent aerial systems over the mesa at night. Paul Bennewitz discovered something real, something so sensitive that destroying his mind was preferable to letting him continue. Phil Schneider had scars from something. Gabe Valdez found evidence of large-scale biological operations. Maybe there's no 7-layer alien base, or maybe there is, and everything we've been told is designed to make us think it's too crazy to be true. The base might not exist exactly as described, but something is absolutely happening beneath Archuleta Mesa, and maybe that's even more terrifying than aliens.